Pragmatism is a philosophical school of thought in which reality is based upon experiences and interactions with the environment. To contrast this with the more traditional view on reality, where it is seen as something that is constant, philosophers that follow pragmatism believe that reality is ever-changing and that nothing is certain. The meaning that we gain from reality is based on our own personal experiences or our own interactions with the environment. This view of reality leads to very interesting beliefs in epistemology. Many pragmatists discourage the use of the word truth, because nothing is ever certain, or conclusive truths are only tentatively true. That is, they are only perceived as true until a new truth comes from new experience. They also believe that the best way to gain knowledge is through scientific testing, questioning, and then retesting. The primary focus for pragmatism is on the axioms. Taking the same view towards these as towards truths about reality, the axioms or values of pragmatism are only tentative, and are always subject to testing and retesting. Because nothing is certain, pragmatists believe that whatever works is what works best for the largest community. As such, democracy is a key component of pragmatism. Doing what the majority of the people want follows their core beliefs. The last important aspect of pragmatism is that beauty is relative to each different person, or as the common phrase is, beauty is in the eye of the beholder.
Charles Sanders Peirce was born on September 10, 1839 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. At an early age, he began a lifelong fascination with logic and reasoning. The quote-unquote father of pragmatism was educated and employed in the scientific field for 30 years, including at the United States Coast Survey and at Johns Hopkins University. Pragmatism begins with the idea that belief is that on which one is prepared to act. Peirce used several grades of clearness of conception of his definition of pragmatism. Critical common sensism is a combination of common sense philosophy and a fallibilism that recognizes what we know now may be challenged in the future. Peirce also described 4 methods of settling opinion. Peirce's pragmatism was the first time the scientific method was proposed as an epistemology for philosophical questions, which is still used to this day. Another figure closely tied to pragmatism was William James. James was an American philosopher and psychologist. He was the first educator to offer a psychology course in the United States. He wrote many articles throughout his life, and his most recognized paper was Principles of Psychology. James defined true beliefs as those that prove useful to the believer. He stated that truth is verifiable to the extent that thoughts and statements correspond with actual things. These thoughts are in turn verified by the observed results of the application of an idea to actual practice. James' view of truth was a big part of many of his papers and writings. The person who implemented a lot of the ideas of pragmatism was John Dewey. He was an American philosopher, psychologist, and educational reformer. Dewey joined the University of Chicago, where he developed his belief in an empirically based theory of knowledge, becoming associated with the pragmatic philosophy. Dewey also argues that education and learning are social and interactive processes. Learning should not follow a predetermined set of skills, but rather the realization of one's full potential and the ability to use those skills for the greater good.
As for the educational implications of pragmatism, the main purpose of school is to emphasize experience through problem solving and using the scientific method. The preferred methods in the classroom include learning by doing, problem solving, experimentation, hands-on activities, collaborative learning, and an emphasis on deductive reasoning. As such, students are not just passive bodies within the classroom listening to the teacher lecture. They are active and involved with their own learning. They make questions and then test answers to those questions to see if they are correct.
One progressive reform was the Gary Plan, implemented in Gary, Indiana by William Wirt, a former student of John Dewey. Wirt's program divided the day into alternating periods of study and work. Wirt designed lavish modern buildings that served all grades. There were all kinds of possibilities because of the many things the school had, including a zoo, a forge, and a mechanic shop, among other amenities. All of the space was not wasted because students were constantly using it. The students also helped to run the schools, and they learned more than just the 3 R's.